I only got one with you tonight.
Well, I don't know if that's good or,
The other one's hitting his rib.
Okay.
We live.
We're live now? Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock, October 26th, and we'll call the city council meeting to order right now. Start off with our roll call. Joe Armand,
Yes, I am here.
David Budrus,
I am present.
Stephen Hardy,
Present.
Peter Davenport,
Present.
and Levi Shank is scheduled to be here later, not here at the moment. Any of the visitors who would like to be recognized, please state your names.
Denise Holland.
Maria Brugger, lead librarian.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Stan Roth.
Sage Wilson.
Steve Marsh.
Thank you. First thing on our list tonight is to approve the minutes from October 12th.
Move the minutes be accepted as presented.
Thank you, Peter.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to accept the minutes as they're written. Any further discussion?
None here.
I'm good.
Councilman Davenport, since you made the motion, I'm assuming you're ready to vote?
I'm ready.
You're ready. All in favor of accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. Second thing on our agenda tonight is to approve the claims from 115.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded to accept the claims for 10-1 through 10-15. Any further discussion?
I'm good. I have all my questions answered already.
Okay.
The transaction 821, Inland Cellular, is that for two phones, was that, or is that one like we talked about the last meeting?
So the good news is that that's the last time we're gonna get that.
Yeah.
Well, no. We are gonna get a bill that's prorated one more time. It should be the last time we get it for the 154.5. In talking with them, they claimed that there was still a third number on there that was Nathan's old flip phone, which we thought we had turned off. So it's kind of debatable as to whether that was actually off or not, but it will be very soon either way, so.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation.
Item 819, Harrington Truck and Auto, what's PW expenses mean?
Public Works.
Thank you, Jerry.
Well,
Good,
I'm good.
good, good.
Question about the cell phones. How many cell phones do we have? 3 or 5?
Actually, right now, we're in the process of having none.
Good.
As Stephen
should
was
this
just
be
saying,
the-
that bill should, we'll have a closing bill, but that's the end of it.
Okay, good.
Any further discussion?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Good. Okay, it's moved and seconded to accept this as it's written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Carries 4-0. The next one is our claims for the month, or our payroll. Excuse me.
Second. On a roll.
You guys are there. Give me a second here to get the paperwork out. Excuse me for just a minute. Yes, Levi.
I'm here, Janet.
You are here. You are at the meeting?
In spirit.
Okay. Would you like me to leave you on speakerphone or?
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Can you hear us here now, Levi?
Yes, I can.
Okay, you're on. So we just opened up the floor here to, we've got a motion by Stephen and a second by Joe to accept the payroll as written. Any further discussion?
What's the current expense fund? What's the, I should say, what's the entry 001 for $77.77? You know?
There's only 2 checks on the payroll
He's
register.
talking about the line items below the second line, I think.
Yeah, 001. Jerry, can you
Oh,
shed any
got it.
light on that?
That's the funds for payroll come out of each of those individual funds.
Got it.
There's a percentage amount, and that's already in the system. So once I put payroll in, it automatically pulls from the different funds.
So those are the funds in the bank that the payroll's drawn from.
Thank you.
Leave it, I'm going to, or maybe you can mute a speaker on your side until you get ready to speak.
Yep, will do.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I'd already done that.
Any further discussion on payroll?
I'm good.
Peter?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. It's moved and seconded that we accept as presented. With no further discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed the same? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Any additional items to be added to the agenda tonight? That's right up there for you, Stephen.
I know, this time I actually figured it out.
We decided we're gonna move this every week so that people will have to read our agendas.
I just, at some point, I want to give a tech update on cell phones and what have you. There's been a number of things.
Jess, can you put the library on there?
I heard something, but I didn't catch it.
Library update.
Yes, we'll pick that up at the end for comments from the floor.
I need an action on it.
Do you need an action on it? Well, if you're not on the agenda here yet, I don't think we...
I did ask to be put on
And when did you ask?
last week.
You asked last week? Last week to who did you ask that to?
Sherry?
Yeah, I have heard nothing about that at this point, but
I failed.
It won't be, it's very quick.
without being on the agenda, of course, we can't add an action item at this point in time, but we can certainly talk about it. We'll bring it up at a later point here. So, next thing on the list is the water pipe update. Steve Marsh, I'm going to give you the floor for a moment.
Great, hopefully that's all it was.
Water pipe.
Kind of update you on where we are, where we were and where we are now. Last Thursday, we opened bids for the water main underneath the railroad. My estimate was $593,000. Low bid was from J.R. Massey out of Davenport at $428,000. So we had 6 bidders. I was hoping for 1. We ended up with 6. We have done our work as we're required to on the low bidder. The mayor has a letter by me from TD&H that says we recommend the council award the contract to J.R. Massey. There's one tiny item that needs to be fixed on their end. One of their subcontractors, who's going to actually do the bore underneath the railroad, does not have what they call a SAM.gov number, but it is pending. But we will not start work until they have it. That's the way the law reads. So tonight, what I would like to have you guys do is there is a notice of award that needs to be signed, but it needs to be a council motion to do so. So essentially, the motion would be we, move to award the contract to J.R. Massey. You vote on it. Hopefully it passes. Sign and date. Then I take that piece of paper, send it off to J.R. Massey. They sign and date it. Does that all make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So what does pending mean? Is that a formality or what?
It's a formality. They're just waiting for their number to come through, Stephen.
Is there any chance of that being rejected?
No.
Okay.
They're actually, the company's called Big Sky Limited of Wyoming. That probably, the name probably tells it all.
Gotcha. Okay.
I can speak a little bit to that. Sometimes when people are mailing documents into Olympia to have issued and what have you,
Okay, I pass it
there
around.
has been a delay.
That's the one
And
he
it's
actually wants.
been notable and not
Signed.
recovered since COVID. So,
The other issue is at least half the contractors use Big Sky Limited as their boring company, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna have the same problem with the second loan and the third loan.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be the same problem.
Fair enough. Move to accept the bid from J.R. Massey.
I'll second it.
So we've got a motion on the floor to accept the bid, accept actually J.R. Massey as our contractor. Or any further discussion?
None here.
No?
I'm good.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor, and we, to accept J.R. Massey as the contractor for our emergency pipe repair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say the same. And it passes 5-0. Do you need that signed before you go home tonight?
Yes, please.
Before you can leave?
Before I can leave, I need to have that in my stubby little hands.
Okay. I think we can, it's right here, yeah. And I believe,
Can I have the signature page here?
Did it require all of ours?
I think there's one for the council, yeah. The first page has to have mine on there.
No, there's only one signature.
Oh, never mind.
The second page is actually, I have to send that off to J.R. Massey and have them acknowledge that they understand they received the award.
So the only one we need is this page right here.
Is that your pen? or-
And this is, the date today is October 26th.
Correct.
Well, that's the pen you gave me.
You want it? Or-
Yeah. It's a good pen. I'm surprised you let loose of it.
Oh, it's great. I have another one.
And thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
Oh, yes. It is. And it's funny, it's just like,
Mr. Marsh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else you have for us tonight, Steve?
No,
Okay, thank you.
not now.
Okay, thank you very much. Sage,
Yes,
you have a report.
I have an update. I
You-
don't have a treasurer's report.
Yes, an update. That's what I meant to say.
So after last meeting, I now have access to Single Point. It took going into the branch yesterday and stepping away from my desk, taking the laptop with me and calling the government banking office. But I now have access, was able to log in flawlessly with the administrator access, so I can do the transfers and the payments and everything that needs done there, which is great. I did get an email from Jerry that stated I had Single Point access. So Monday I came in and I didn't worry about logging into that one because I didn't have Single Point. But then last night when I was here, I tried logging in with the credentials that were provided and it didn't work. And it didn't recognize the username because the username was supposed to be the password. So I tried to use the username was supposed to be the email. Tried to use the email to reset the password and it didn't come through. Waited for about 30 minutes. So I informed Jerry of that earlier today and he said he'd work on it.
Okay, is that something we can take care of in the morning? We need to go back Single Point tomorrow morning? Okay, we'll
And I
get,
haven't heard any update about the LGIP. I forgot to ask this morning, or this afternoon.
I haven't heard anything from them either.
State of Washington, I'm not surprised.
So, just to clarify, does that mean that in the meantime, while we resolve that issue, do we have single point access in one form?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know if what you're looking to resolve there left us with access or not.
I must have misspoke. Springbroker Bias is the one I don't have access
Oh, okay.
to. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Single Point, I'm good to go.
That was going to
Oh.
be my next question about that. So, good.
so the Single Point one we did get squared away?
Yes, perfect.
Okay,
And I can, however the passwords works for that, I don't know how that works for the Information Act, but I can provide that however I need to.
for Springbrook,
No, for Single Point.
for Single Point, okay.
The one that works.
So the only item that we've got right now is to get Single Point, or not Single Point, Springbrook
Yes.
squared away. Okay, So it's not Single Point, Jerry, it's Springbrook.
Did I misspeak this morning too?
Springbrook should be good to go,
That's pious.
but I'll double
But-
check it.
When I used the username and password that were provided in the email, it told me that it didn't recognize them, so I said forgot password, thinking that maybe that temporary password had expired, and it didn't like the username, it said it needed to be an email address, so I used the treasurer email address, and it told me no.
Shouldn't be email, shouldn't be, but I'll fix it tomorrow.
So can you give him a call tomorrow to verify that?
Yeah.
Or an email, does email work?
Yes, email does, I just don't have access to that email unless I'm here, so.
Okay, good. Sounds like we're narrowing down all of the problem
Much
areas.
better.
Very good. Thank you, Sage.
Thank you.
So I think I want to go back in the agenda here for just a moment. And since you didn't make it on the agenda, we can't have an action, but what is it that you need?
One, I'd like to introduce you to our new librarian.
I think she already did, but would you do it again?
The rest of the board, or the rest of the council does not know him. So this is Maria Berger,
Actually, I met him at the Opera
Steven,
House.
and Joe Armand, Jess, David, and Peter.
We met.
And you know, that's terrible, Maria. We've seen each other several days now. It's B-E-R-B-U-R-G? G-E-R, so just like it sounds.
Yeah, like hamburger.
Okay, a burger.
Yep,
Got it.
Makes me hungry every time I think of it.
sorry.
And then secondly, I would like to ask the council for $3,200 for now to the end of the year. We have a lot of things that need to be taken care of in here, and extra hours and et cetera. And since we don't technically have a budget allocated to us, and we haven't used quite a bit of the money that should have been there, I'm asking for $3,200 to finish me through the end of the year.
And do you have some kind of a list that you can tell us what that money's broke down for?
Library board changed.
And you present it with something like that?
There was a budget.
I can.
Sorry, I was answering a question from Joe. What did you just say?
I asked her if she could present us some sort of a breakdown of the
Oh.
money.
So my contention is, and I'm just one vote, but I think one of the benefits to the library board and the responsibilities from our side of it is that since they are the custodians of those funds, we merely decide whether to fund them at their requested rate.
Okay.
I would contend that it's not our business to get involved with how they spend it.
Okay.
And it's in a way a benefit to us that is a designation of power that the city council sits in place the library board, and so we can choose to fund their full request or not, but how they use it is, I believe, their prerogative.
There is 5 months that we did not use any payroll at all. And I would like to pull that forward as well. So that would be part of that money.
And do we know, and I should know this because I've seen it and approved it enough times, but I'm not recalling
No, I
off the
don't
top of
believe
my
so. It's
head.
still there.
What was
But
our
I was just looking
normal
for the next
monthly bill for Marge?
You got a
Ballpark.
calendar?
250.
No, I don't.
250.
That's okay.
Okay, so
It's
260.
around 300.
It's, come on here, Lindsay. Why
Because
can't I
of the,
see it back? Here we go. So 126, we're looking at November,
354
9th?
plus taxes.
we're looking at November 9th, yeah.
2 or 354 plus taxes, so.
Oh, it's on the bottom half of the section, salary.
gotcha.
So I will check with our expert here on Robert's rules. I don't think we can have an action.
Well,
Since
it's not about Robert's rules. It's supposedly the auditor told us that we can't vote on. But here's the thing: what we could do was we could approve an intent towards that amount or not. But to actually set it in place, we would need a budget amendment, which we usually do at the end of the year anyway to reconcile funds. So we couldn't put together a budget amendment tonight under any circumstances, but I think we can give an indication towards our statement towards that amount.
Okay.
Because a budget amendment requires, we would have other things to put in that budget amendment to reconcile funds, being that we didn't have public works employees for so long. And so the budget amendment's gonna have other things piled into it, but I think we could make a commitment that wouldn't be binding, but it would get them the idea of what a budget they could put together. In the next meeting, we could formalize that as a part of a full budget amendment, would be my recommendation.
Okay,
And then there's only one other
Yep.
thing.
1 second. That would be November 9th then you're speaking of, the next council meeting.
Right,
Okay.
because that way we could list it as an action, so that we would meet that, and then any other things we need to do, hopefully for the end of the year budget reconciliation could all be
Sure,
thrown into that.
okay. And you would,
Question, please.
go ahead, Peter, and then,
I heard you just say the 3,200 includes salaries, or is earmarked for salaries and other expenses? For what time period is that?
That's to get me through the end of the year. So then I can actually
End
have
of
the
the
budget.
calendar year?
Mhm.
And it might be also helpful that the ordinance that we passed requires them to set a budget. They're not really able to do that without a formal allocation from us, because that is their source of income, is the designation of funds that this body gets them. So in resetting some organizational structure into the new library board situation, they would need to have some amount to structure their budget around, at least between here and when we set the 2023 budget.
correct. And there should be money left over in the budget that was budgeted for this year, since we haven't paid wages to a librarian for the past several months.
That's the budget.
Correct.
December 22.
What was the last
Our budget, but
librarian's
not
last
theirs.
month of employment?
So I'm just saying.
May?
I would have to dig it up. I've got a file over there, Peter. I can't tell you.
Yeah,
I'm taking them at their word that it's been 5 months. It could be that long, yeah.
Last,
Could-
June, July, August, September, October.
May was the last month of employment,
Basically actual.
to answer your, is that what you were asking, Peter?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's just a lot
You know what that part of it
Oh, absolutely.
done.
Yes. Yes, I think that would be.
So,
Right.
in the future,
Difference is that
the guy who gets to set the agenda
not,
is me.
our line item should be
Although-
the library. And all these-
And that's
Yeah.
not because I'm Lord and Master or anything else. That's just the way it is. So if you come to me, boy, then you can point your finger at me and I'll take it. But I'm pretty good at taking notes.
We're, part of the
But
consideration is.
it sounds
it's
to
not
me
just
like,
funds, but you're
I think
ending
you're
the
gonna
year
get
for
a-
salary, but it's also that middle.
Pretty much
Yeah.
Clean up, painting, all the
what you want. May not be on the day you want it, but
carpet change, all the stuff you want to do.
Perhaps, but I'm not
There's
going to be
question.
I have no
concerned
problem
about it.
sitting down.
Neither am I. No, I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, with everything that's.
I was
going on,
only
some reason-
asking that before I got asked.
Yeah, I think
the library board selects the librarian, doesn't it?
Correct?
Not, doesn't involve the council.
No, that's correct. Which has been done.
Hmm?
Which has been done.
Yeah. Congratulations are in order, I feel.
so. I would have a question of Jess and Jerry, well, and Sage, because we haven't seen budget reports lately, so I can't speak. And that's not. I understand why. So, not any type of a backhanded comment. But people who are seeing numbers more regularly, does anyone have any concerns with that amount before I would come to my conclusion on it? My hunch is that that amount is probably not an issue, but
I would think it could be taken from a different area within the budget. I know we had budgeted last year for a new pickup truck, which we never bought. So there are monies in different areas that could be moved around, I'm sure,
okay.
with the proper paperwork and council movement.
I can go get the most recent budget that I was given, as of June, and we can look at those numbers to see what was allocated where at this point. Of course, it'll be updated, but would you like to see those?
It would take me a while to I mean, it's multi-pages, and so my ask is more towards what Jess just said. It would be a question of concurrence. Do we feel like the money is in various funds enough that no one has a check about where this would come from? Everyone has an idea enough that it can work out.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
So we can't put a formal vote because we aren't voting on anything because the budget amendment is not here for us to vote on. But I would express my intent to approve that amount.
I could concur with that.
And is this something that needs to be voted on now?
We're not
We're-
voting. I'm
You're-
expressing my positive intent
Okay,
because we can't vote until there is something to vote on. But I'm trying to give the library
Great.
board the most solid thing that we can legally give them in this meeting until the next one.
understood.
I support it as well.
I'd like to know what the 3,200 is earmarked for.
Whatever they need it for.
Yeah, basically when we approved their budget, per our resolution that we gave them, we are trusting the people that we put in charge of the library board and the library to spend the money wisely.
So
And
the 3,200 is the total budgetary amount.
To get us through 2022. And that would be to cover wages and carpet cleaning if they decide to do that, or for whatever reason, Peter.
How much is budgeted? How much have we budgeted in the past? Does anybody recall?
Well, it was around 10,000 is what I saw in there.
Yeah, we have
Per year or
for the year.
Yeah,
And keeping in mind, some of that 10,000 in theory hasn't been spent yet, right? Because that 10,000 was for expenses that would happen every month, and not every month has happened through the year yet. So it's not a $3,000 out of nowhere. Some of that was already budgeted. What
Yes.
a person would, I guess, have to work out the difference between what was budgeted and what's being proposed. But the problem is there isn't a person really to stand in answering that because the old library board is departed and the old library board did not make budget requests. It was not expected of them at the time, so there's no one there to speak to how the previous number really came about because no one attached to the library made it. So
That answers the question.
okay. Levi, do you have any input on that?
I do not.
Thank you. Okay, does that,
One more thing,
okay,
cleaning of this building,
the what?
the cleaning of this building,
What about the cleaning of this building?
it's atrocious.
Really?
We cleaned a mouse poop today, that was not quick. So my asking is you have the bathroom cleaned, which is always spotless, but nobody's vacuuming in here unless Jerry does it, or maybe Jess does it or something.
Yeah.
So my question is to have it vacuumed, at least the front twice a week, and the whole thing once a week.
Well, we'll have to look at that, talk to our cleaning person there and see if
That's
we
all
can't
I'm
make that
asking,
happen.
Do we still have one of those?
Yes,
I mean, we'll take care of a lot of the cleaning, and I
Yeah.
don't have a problem coming in and helping. She doesn't have a problem.
yeah, you know,
But the whole front looked pretty bad even today, just from people in and out. And I just, the what?
I think I probably don't want to comment on that.
Well, things are, I mean, I know dusting hasn't been done. I could grow carrots back there. I mean, and I just think the appearance is pretty important, not just for the library, but for the city. So I just think the cleaning needs to, because it's not Jess's job, it's not Jerry's job. That's what we have a cleaner for.
Okay?
I'm just asking, please.
So I think we'll move on with our agenda now.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We accepted the bid, City Hall, location and tent.
Yeah. So the next item on the agenda after that is executive session. And I would remind everyone that RCWs make provision for discussing the acquisition of property, both sale and lease, in executive session, as well as discussing the amount potentially offered for any lease in executive session. But before we would have any executive session, there's not really a point in discussing the matter in executive session if a majority of the council views the whole possibility as a non-starter. So I was just thinking we could start with an expression of intent to say, do the council members believe that it is an intriguing enough possibility that they think they would like to discuss the possibility of putting an offer on the U.S. Bank building in terms of a lease agreement? I would express my intent in the affirmative.
I would concur. I agree.
You're asking for opinions around the table?
Whether it's worth a discussion.
Yeah, it's certainly worth a discussion, in my opinion.
Okay.
My vote was contingent upon details of the...
Yeah, then we can, yeah.
I concur, looking into it.
Okay.
There's a lot of unanswered questions, and upon that revelation,
And Levi?
Levi, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. I would be interested as well, but I do have some questions of my own.
Okay.
I guess we can move into executive session.
So it is 7:37, 15 minutes?
We can start there. You can see where it goes.
Who can do the timing here? And the reason I ask that is if we take
the 15
round minutes, we could start with 10s, 20 minutes. 20 minutes good?
Yeah, I think, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should be out of there at 7:57.
Okay.
Be advised, we have an open mic here.
I'm going to mute it.
Okay?
13?
13. They were all does. There wasn't horns on any of them, but there was some big ones.
Well, and it's about the time the Bucks are going to start chasing them here before.
Oh darn, we left them on.
Yeah.
No, it was muted.
I know. Waiting for a reaction from everybody.
Oh, really? Are you donating?
Okay, next thing on our agenda is the chicken ordinance. And I think since you're not here, Levi, I'm not sure where that's going to go. We don't have your copy of the amended chicken ordinance.
Okay, I will get that down to you guys as soon as I can. That's, the last week has been a little hectic.
Were we able to find any records, recordings,
So
handwritten?
I extracted the recordings off of the recorder. If someone knows the actual meeting that I'm looking for, we might have the recording of that.
Okay.
It seems like it's kind of a mixed bag, and some files are named with the date. Some files have names that don't really make sense to anything at all. And there could be gaps in the, the date progression that we have. But I do think I saw the earliest recording was mid-2019. So we are definitely in the range to be able to potentially find it. My intention towards those recordings is I'm going to process them and pair them up with a static image file, and then upload all of those recordings to our YouTube channel, so that then delete them locally, so that they're up with all of our live streams.
So it was signed on
8th of July.
8th of July, 2020.
Oh,
Your time frame.
Okay.
8th of July 2020 is when it was signed. Janice Cepeda, Nathan Luck, and Joshua Grant was the attorney on that. That was when the amendment to 319 was done anyway, which was the original.
Go ahead and call the regular city council meeting to order, 7:01. Thank you guys for another month of calling in here.
Yeah, it looks like I have it. Unless you want me to scrub through it here in the course of the meeting, which I could do. I could probably find where it was here if you give me a sec, but I'd probably go to the back room so you guys don't hear me doing it.
Go for it.
So, you want to do that, or you want
I
to
would.
table it for another week?
I could see where it goes. If we don't get anywhere, we could forget it. But I have some ideas on that chicken ordinance. Depending on what it says, it doesn't really belong in 319 period.
Yeah, I see why they pulled it out and made a new ordinance, but
Yeah.
I
I mean, was that one of your concerns, Mayor, or was that the fact that you didn't know which one to believe or which one was active?
I took this new one as being the actual chicken ordinance now, except when we got to looking, some of the amendments here were not even in the right paragraphs. So you can understand what they were trying to say, but it needs to be cleaned up.
Oh, okay. So we don't really necessarily have to go back, or maybe in this 502, I believe.
Yes, 502.
So maybe we can just, in there, does it have a repealer of the paragraph or section in 319? Does it state that? I haven't read that, I'm sorry.
I thought I'd sent this to everybody.
Well, you may have, but I just haven't had time to,
Sure.
because I didn't know
Like
where
I
we
say,
were going to go with this.
This
for
has
sure.
been an issue that's been floating around. We've got
Okay.
3 or 4 people with chickens now, and then other people come in and want to have a couple chickens. And it's 5 chickens, no roosters.
Well, yeah,
Is the bottom line.
in the R1 zone.
Right, in residential zone, in the city limits.
So we got to first determine where R1, where it encompasses, and then which we have several zones, but yeah, it states in here. So the rooster issue is not an issue for people.
It doesn't say, well,
These are, the following are prohibited in the R1
R1.
zone.
yeah.
The keeping of animals, livestock or poultry, including roosters. I see where you're going, I see your concern here.
And then it goes to the thing where it says, but if you have a special condition permit,
But yes, it also contradicts itself, I think, what Mr. Armand said earlier. A maximum of 6 chickens are permitted, so it does, the verbiage, language here is definitely not clear.
no. And I think that was cleared up. We need to get the copy that,
I've got it. I'm gonna.
Did you want to see this, Peter?
Saw it last time.
What's that?
I think I saw it last time, didn't I?
Oh, I'm sure you did. I just know if you wanted to look at it again. So,
it's just one of those unfinished items we have.
but I think there was something to,
Okay, I'm gonna send everybody right now the original 319, which is our building and zoning ordinance, and then the one that he has right here, and then Levi did give me his handwritten notes from that night, and I scanned them.
Can you send that to the copier? You probably could,
Oh, sure. So let me
and
do
we can
this.
have copies. I'm a paper guy.
Yes, you are. You want just the handwritten notes?
I would,
Yes, actually, that's what I would love to have.
my recommendation going forward in this 502, this ordinance pertaining to the animals or the chickens, that the reference to 319, that it says it amends that, I would put a repealer in there of that section of 319. Instead of amending the whole ordinance. I don't know, it doesn't, I don't think it belongs in 319, any reference to this.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it.
Are you hearing it?
I'm not hearing it. I heard discussion about COVID money, about the building at the cemetery, about speeders by the cemetery, but I didn't. I mean, I was skipping around, but if I missed it, we weren't on the topic very long.
I don't think I was able to attend that meeting, but
Because it was all by,
I heard it was a lot of going back and forth. It wasn't a quick 5-minute.
In there, so that may be pretty close to what you want to end up with for the chicken ordinance.
So
I know they did the paragraphs and whatnot.
let me look at the meeting right before. Maybe we did most of
Okay.
our revisions in the
Probably.
previous meeting and then just
yeah.
approved it in the next one.
Okay.
So maybe this is just a hodgepodge, it was just a section here, section there, and it never was officially typed up, put together.
I think so. These, like I said, these are Levi's handwritten notes.
If you guys can come to agreement on your wording, I can do that typing and print it and have it signed tonight.
Discussion action.
I have a suspicion, since everything was being done over the phone right at that time because of the COVID, I think what got agreed on, and then by the time it got printed and signed,
It should be, well, first of all, the best interest of the citizens of the town of Harrington, be city of Harrington.
Found it? You found it?
Ordinance controlling, town should be omitted and put in city in lieu of town.
I have a suspicion that Joshua Grant wrote this.
That's the only thing I see right off the bat. is
That's
that
why his name was on the back, signed it?
Or forged, huh?
keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry.
It does say amendment of ordinance 319, section 4, subsection F and
Right,
D.
I think this is it.
Okay, you still with us, Levi?
Yeah, I'm here.
Stephen found the magic tape.
I think so.
Chicken ordinance. Where are we at with that, Levi? What do you think?
I saw the most recent copy in Janice's last email prior to the council meeting. I have no problems with it whatsoever.
Okay, Justin, you had a question on this? You want a couple things clarified, is that correct?
Yeah, so I think, so we have a dog ordinance that has a lot of stipulations, but the regular ordinance that we're amending, it says that people can have household pets, but it doesn't say if we find their cat or their ferret or their snake in the street that we're going to confiscate it and then destroy it, or that we can appeal. So I think the original ordinance that was drafted probably 4 years ago, had a lot of regulations that had the licensing of the cages or whatever, that I don't know that all that stuff is needed now. I think we could just, personally, I would think we could just amend the ordinance to allow the 6 chickens, because otherwise we're going to have to, if a chicken gets out, then Scott or Charlie are going to have to pick it up before they destroy it. They're going to have to identify who the owner is and then notify the owner. And if the owner wants to appeal it, then we have to hold the chicken until we have an appeal process. So I think that whole section is not needed. We already have problems with the dog ordinance and enforcing that. So I think if we want to go forward with this to make it less onerous on the city and the citizens, that we would just amend it to where it say 6 chickens. If that's what the city wants to do, or the council.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a potential direction for us here, if it'd be helpful. I think we should make a motion. I have 2 amendments I'd like to oppose to a motion. We can have discussion on it once motion's been made, and then either vote it up or down or table it at that point in time. So in that context of where I'm going, I'd like to make a motion that the ordinance be adopted as written at this point, and then I'll offer my amendments here in a sec. So do we have a second for that?
Okay, we have a motion on the table to adopt it as it sits. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Levi will second. Discussion.
Okay, now I will offer an amendment.
Yes. I have
This is David.
discussion. Section 4, paragraph F, D2. There's some awkward wording in there that I think I understand it, but it could be improved on, where it reads, any chickens which are found off of the owner's single-family resident premises are not permitted. It's a minor point, but I think that could be streamlined and clarified a little bit.
You're talking about the single family part, Peter? The single family residence?
Yeah, well, any chickens
So this is Justin.
are not permitted.
I think to Peter's point, this means that no one that lives in an apartment is allowed to have a chicken on their multi-family property. So if we're going, this only allows for people that are in a house themselves. So I don't know if that was the intent, but that's what it says.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Justin.
So I'm going to offer an amendment.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, good.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Mayor, this is David. I just want to know what the R1 zone is, for clarification.
I'm glad we meet in person.
Residential.
What?
Residential.
I think we could sell a
And do we
tape
have a
copy
map
of
of
this.
that in town, or how is a
I got my
person to
Christmas
tell?
shopping done for this.
We do have a map.
Would be a good party too.
It's, no, that's not the zoning one.
Probably should have
There's a
a
map at City Hall. I don't think it's posted anywhere. Somebody
map
could get
attached
a
to
copy
this
of that
ordinance in the future
through City
too,
Hall.
when we're complete with it.
Right. And I was just wondering clarification of all these rules and ordinances and what we're doing.
Right.
What R1 means. We don't have an R2, do we?
I don't believe so. I don't have in front of me. There's, I think, 5 different zones, and I'd have to.
The only thing I think would be important for the citizenry to know this, if they choose to do this, going forward, what's what. Is all my just clarification on stuff. Because we're talking about doing stuff here and what we allow and what we don't allow, but who the heck knows where R1 is? And I mean, you might as well be talking in Mandarin and Chinese, who knows?
Yeah.
So we just spell it out.
Can you fast forward?
Point taken.
I'm not sure how quickly the amendment comes or not.
Steven, you had something?
Yeah, so the first amendment that I would move is that all references to chickens in section 2, so this would be section 4 FD2, all references to chickens be preceded by female. This is in response to a point that Justin had, that the way this reads as a whole could imply that roosters are included. However, it's excluded by what we see in the part of D where it says the keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry, including roosters, except for the following uses, shall be permitted for use and therefore allowed without a conditional use permit. So I believe my interpretation is that legally that's saying that roosters are not acceptable, but chickens are. However, I don't really think it reads that way very well to the common person. So I don't believe I'm changing any intent here to just clarify that since roosters are chickens, this is referring to female chickens. So
Just
I
more
move that amendment
clarification.
my 2.
Today is.
Okay, we have a motion for an amendment
That's one of the amendments.
by Steven. Do we have a second?
Seconded. David, second.
Okay, Peter beat you to it, David. We got a second by Peter.
That was always fun.
Any more discussion on that amendment?
on the spot.
Yes, you
Could we restate the amendment? So this is Justin. Go ahead, Peter.
I just wanted a restatement of the amendment before we vote on it.
So I can read the changes that they would be to section 2. One thing I do want to clarify is right now we are only voting on the amendment to the motion. Therefore, a vote yes on this is not a vote to adopt this ordinance as it is. It's a motion to say that what we're voting on should be changed thusly. So section or paragraph, subsection 2, I guess is what it would be. A maximum of 6 (6) female chickens are permitted for each standalone single-family residence, so long as all female chickens are confined on the residential property by their owners. Any female chickens which are found off of the owner's single-family residence premise are not permitted, and any female chickens so found shall be considered feral chickens and will be euthanized or otherwise dealt with by the city staff and will not be returned to the homeowner. This determination of feral and non-return status is subject to appeal under section 13 of ordinance number 319.
Okay, thank you.
So that should be
Any
the
more
first
discussion on the amendment? Justin, did you have something?
Well, I don't know if it's the amendment or if it's the general one, but it has to do with David's point about the zoning. Is this only for this is only for R1? Or is it for every, because we have houses in other, we have residential properties that are in other
Marshall. This is just saying that the original ordinance was saying that this was prohibited in R1 zone except for, it says the following uses are prohibited in this zone, and then it lists them, and this is just amending that list. So the original one reads, the following uses are prohibited in the R1 zone. Keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry except household pets for the personal enjoyment of the occupants. And then it goes on to a couple other sections.
The only thing I have there, Nathan,
Yeah.
is how would the general public know what R1, I mean, how would they know?
They would just have to come into City Hall. I mean, we could post something somewhere showing, get a map out, maybe the post office and some other places, but they would have to inquire with the city about having chickens, and then they would be able to get that information from us here at City Hall.
Wow.
Going by this, then, any chickens or animals and stuff outside of R1 zone are free game. Anything goes.
I don't know how the original ordinance reads. I'd have to research that.
This is changing an exclusion. This is not speaking to an
I
inclusion.
understand
So
Yep.
if there is no exclusion on the other zones, then theoretically they would never have been prohibited from having chickens in the first place.
Correct.
But this wouldn't change that one way or another.
Okay, so we're just voting on this, and the others are off the table. Is that home?
Yeah. So
Is that we can't regulate anything else other than R1 zone.
Please shoot me.
yeah, this would just be the
If I ever
amendment
put
to
this on the agenda,
this.
Okay,
This is like
put
45
me out
minutes
of
of
my
audio.
misery.
very good. Levi's made a good point, and yeah, that answered my question.
Okay. Any more discussion on the amendment?
I would like to move to amend the amendment. What's the proper procedure for doing that at this time, before your amendment is voted on?
Is this Abbott and Costello?
Have we heard enough? It is. This is almost like Saturday Night Live. It gets better than
Or
this?
it's added or deleted.
Okay, well.
Otherwise, we'd have to vote it down and make an
Amending the
amendment.
amendment to the amendment to. No.
And could you
think
read
that's
your
it.
proposed text again, please? So we know what's been added or deleted?
Oh, thank you.
So it's just the addition of the word female before any reference to chickens.
Well, kind of. Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's orange. This
I'm
map
sure
has
we
been
could have
faded,
debated
so
that terminology.
You're probably our best parliamentarian. I would like to
Yeah.
propose we delete a phrase
pink,
that may or may not pertain to your motion.
Okay, which phrase is that?
I would like to
think we're
delete
vaccinating
premises
people
are not
against
permitted in any
city
chicken
council
so
meetings.
found.
Take the much
It's an
that's all
extraneous phrase in that.
orange.
So that would be you can
These are
offer that as a
orange.
separate amendment, because that's changing text that I didn't change.
I'm pretty sure this
But
meeting
it
lasted till
contains
11 o'clock.
chickens.
That was Les Nessman on
It
there.
has
I
to be
know it.
preceded by female.
It does, but from a Robert's Rules of Order perspective, you can only change what I have added. And so if I haven't added it, you can't change it in this amendment.
Okay. Thank you.
But that would be something you could propose as your own amendment, certainly.
Let's go ahead and vote on this, and then we'll move forward, huh?
Thank you.
Call question.
Question.
All in favor of the amendment that Stephen has on the vote by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Okay. 5-0. All opposed, same sign. 5-0. Amendment passes. Motion for the amendment passes.
Before I offer my second one, Peter, I'll let
That
you
was
go,
my-
because my second
my
one will be the
question.
more controversial.
I
It's all been
referred
faded, so I
again to
took
the
this
same
stuff
text
here
that
to
I
be
referred
orange.
to earlier in this
Is R1?
meeting.
It was R1.
Under paragraph
So where you
F,
live,
These are business.
sub D,
Uh,
sub
This is
2,
where I live, right in here. now.
these phrase
you see there's
premises
residential
are not
here where
permitted in
Levi
any
is.
chicken so found. I propose that phrase be deleted. It's
And where the
extraneous
chickens
as
are
I see
now,
it,
or
such that the sentence would read after the amendment,
We got some there.
any chickens which are found off
We got
of
one
the
right
owner's
next to me.
single-family
We got one right
residence
there.
shall be considered feral
Both
chickens.
corners.
You should get some chickens, Joe.
What's a feral chicken?
a wild one.
I make the amendment just to,
Like feral hogs, something that was
Streamline,
like feral
domesticated,
cats?
wild. Yep,
Did you want to see this one, Peter?
So,
it's running amok.
so before we do that, maybe Stephen could explain what he wants to do. I don't know if that's gonna take care of that too.
No, Peter just wants to strike the word premises between residence and are not. Correct, Peter?
premises are not permitted in any chicken so found is, appears to me to be
Right,
extraneous.
so you just wanted to say owners, single-family residents are not permitted. The
Or
striking of
single-family residents shall be considered feral chickens. Any chickens which are found off the owner's single-family residence.
are not permitted in any
Well,
chicken so found.
if you go to the next phrase, shall be considered feral chickens.
What do we think, if we got this much work on this still, what do you guys think about just tabling this? I know Levi, you've been working on this for quite a while, but it sounds like we have some work to do yet.
My question is,
Says we should table it for further discussion. Obviously, we're not coming to a head here, and I think maybe a little bit of time, a little thought might be wise.
Okay,
I think, as I said earlier, the language says single-family residence.
yeah.
I'm indifferent to, but that excludes a certain,
I'm gonna give
say,
this to
class of
Ashley
people. I mean,
Parkinson.
so if you live in, we have what, three sets of apartments.
Yeah.
Write an article about this.
One of the 3 sets of apartment properties would be
I think she
excluded.
did. We made the front page last week.
And there's also, yeah.
We did. We made the front
if that's
page about the chicken
We want
ordinance.
it. I mean, I don't know.
Absolutely. Don't you?
Steven, how do you feel? You made an amendment that we've moved
I
on.
don't even see it. Is this a Davenport
I
record link
think
and whatever
that-
time?
Yeah.
Personally,
Front
I would
page.
like
We did
to
make
see
the
us,
front page
I
last
think
week.
Peter's
Yeah.
Do you have a copy? of that?
amendment is,
Right
if I
here, yeah.
understand it correctly, it doesn't materially change what's being communicated, so I'm okay with it, but I think, personally, I feel like we're closer than we may think. But again, I think it's going to be probably the second amendment that I have that will probably result in a tabling.
Okay, so can you state your amendment, Peter?
So, yeah,
No.
I move that we delete from the sentence that now reads, any chickens which are found off the owner's single-family residence premises are not permitted, and any chickens so found shall be considered to be feral chickens, and amend that by deleting premises are not permitted, and any chicken so found. It seems to be an extraneous addition to that sentence, such that after the amendment, the text would read, any chickens which are found off the owner's single-family residence shall be considered feral chickens and will be euthanized.
Okay. So there's a motion
Just need
Front
to
page
open up,
last
week.
Colonel Sanders.
Thank you for that. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, motion by Peter, seconded by Steven. Any other discussion?
Here you go, Joe. Thanks.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
But you can see my point, I hope.
Okay, so there's the second change.
Okay, that is 5-0. Passes. One amendment, two amendments. Okay, Stephen, you have another amendment.
I will offer my second and last amendment to say that the last sentence of subsection 2 should read, this determination of feral and non-return status is not subject to appeal, period.
Okay, do we have a, did you make motion, or you just?
That is the motion, yeah.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
May I speak to it in discussion?
Yes, more discussion.
And the clerk asked him to repeat that. It's hard to hear him.
Sure. I'll speak a little louder. This would change the last sentence of subsection 2 to say this determination of feral and non-return status is not subject to appeal, period.
Thank you.
So the discussion on this, Justin raised a number of good points of the city's capacity
that's all we need then.
to hold animals pending appeal. And while it is equally a question in regards to dogs, which would be another subject that I would like to look at at another time.
If I can find the confirmation that we struck it and we're done.
So I don't think it's...
Yeah, because we struck everything after residential property by the female chicken's owners. Yeah, I think we had 2 sentences that we left after all of that.
Yeah, no, the only thing I caught was when Stephen was reading his original amendment, in the first sentence that you guys are hammering on, where it says, so long as all chickens, he did clarify that was so long as all female chickens. He'd thrown a female in that right there. I'm just saying.
They stipulated that it was female chickens. That's...
And above it says it's
Is a rooster a chicken, or is it just a rooster?
It's a rooster. It's a chicken.
It's chicken?
It's a chicken.
I had that thought.
Chickens are male or female. They're either a rooster or a hen.
But a lot of times when you say chickens, you're usually talking about
Depends.
You can, but you guys watch Seinfeld, don't you?
Welcome to the Karen City Council.
Dear old granddad used to have.
God, this is terrible.
There was a bit on Seinfeld about that.
This is
It's funny as all get up.
Who's going to listen to this recording in 10 years?
I was thinking that it'd be a good one to play at a party.
A
People could be
chicken
laughing.
is like a coyote. You have a male and a female. There's other names for them, but the chicken is a rooster or a hen.
Isn't a chicken got feathers? And a coyote's a...
He's referring to names.
One has 2 legs. And
Why'd the chicken cross the road?
one barks and the other.
Just to show the possum that it could be done.
Get to the other side.
Because Chuck Norris told it to.
Yeah, just to show the possum up.
Well, we forgot to add in here, I think, Levi, feral chickens at large are become dinner at will, or something like that. They're just free game. Do we have we had any wild or feral chickens running around? But we have. I know we have one lazy rooster that doesn't crow or start making noise until 2.5 hours after sunup.
Well, that's fine.
So, if you're counting on him to wake you up, forget it.
What if you have a neighbor who has a chicken who identifies as a rooster?
In other words, the chicken crows?
It's very noisy. I'm serious.
Oh, chickens crow. Hens will crow.
This hen, every morning, about 7 o'clock, just goes berserk. No, I don't.
I would have the city foreman take care of it.
The city who?
The city worker.
It's his house.
Okay, we have 4 yes, 4 yeses, all opposed. Did you?
There's one more.
Abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay, we have a 4-0-1 with Councilman Slack abstaining.
Okay. And that was for the striking that Levi talked about.
of what's striked out on this.
Yeah,
one
we
right
left
here.
it at like what, 1 or 2 sentences for the entire.
Yeah, there used to be extra text after the second point.
Yeah, but it just says a maximum of 6 female chickens are permitted from each standalone single-family residence, so
Yes.
long as all chickens are confined on the residential property by the female chicken owners. That's it.
So those are the changes.
Is there a motion on the floor to accept what you just said? We
No,
got that
'cause it's already
No.
been voted on.
Okay.
This is just the official reading in that Levi's copy, edited copy, is correct.
Okay.
And that is in fact what we voted on. That has already been approved as an ordinance in that meeting, so.
And it has an ordinance of 502, 502.
And can we get this documented so that we never see this on the agenda again?
Well, it's documented verbally, it's documented here. The only thing that I can think of that does need to be technically cleaned up is that section 4 versus it's supposed to be section 6 of 319. That is a real thing that just wasn't picked up on. Because 319 is buried in the file that was done in the mid 80s.
89, wasn't it?
I think so. Was it 89? Well, let me look at it.
I don't know, but
got it up,
it's
but it's-
late 80s. 80s will work. And the other part to that, if we write this into an official document, all reference to town be omitted and city be.
Oh, as far as the citizens of this.
Yeah, we're citizens of the city of Harrington,
Rather
and
than
the
the
city
town
of
of
Harrington
Harrington.
set forth herein, and that the city council of the town of Harrington.
Yeah, and you're
I
right,
mean-
David. It was December 13th,
Thank you,
89.
Yep. December 13th.
In effect on
1989.
January 1st, 1990. So, but I don't know how to do it. But it's just some technicalities that need to be cleaned up. Is all. The city of Harrington versus the town, and like I said, section 6 versus 4.
So then after that, do we vote on it again because it's been amended, or?
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Well, we have to do that because that's
If
that's
you're
what
changing
was
verbiage
signed.
inside the ordinance, you're gonna have to vote on an amendment.
Yeah, because there's no point in having it if it's not enforceable, and I guarantee you if anybody's chicken became feral, and they were cited for it, it becomes
Well,
an issue.
my 6 chickens are in their pen. If they ever become feral, you're welcome to them.
So, anyway, I just want to, like Jess, I just want it cleaned up and done. I just don't know the technicality how to do it.
Well, you'd need to present amended text to be voted on.
Can we amend 502, or do we have to do a new ordinance?
Would you have to make an ordinance?
I'm not sure. That
amending
would be
ordinance
defined by the
502?
ACW, not Robert's rules.
You know,
Isn't this fun?
RCWs. Thank you. I knew that didn't sound right. RCWs.
right now we have a 502 as an official ordinance, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to a new ordinance amending it then, I believe.
Yeah, you'll have to make an ordinance amending the old ordinance because this is an ordinance amending ordinance number 319. So we need an ordinance amending 502.
Or how do we come up with just a brand new ordinance and it repeals 502 and
Replaces it with?
Yes, in section 319, so.
Are we going to use the term pen or female chicken?
It.
Of God.
Both ways.
I don't think you can put that in there.
Whatever persuasion they prefer.
Maximum of 6 sweet mothers of God.
How about if it can lay an egg, you can have it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to get into
Just replace female chicken.
You got a rooster that wants to lay an egg?
I think
Far out.
the verbiage, the language in the, like the game department, the rules, they like pheasants, they refer to them as hens, don't they?
Right.
Hens, they don't
Hens
say
and cocks.
female.
It's
Yes.
just hens and cocks.
Yeah.
Everybody
Whereas
knows what those
Cocks
are.
will be roosters instead,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you have two approaches. You can either amend the existing one and make the little technical changes to get it in line with ordinance numbers, or you can revisit the chicken ordinance in terms of its new setting of the nuisance ordinance.
I personally would like to go the latter.
Seeing as how we're already working on the nuisance ordinance, just take care of that at the same time.
Yes, because I think, at the advice of Chief Mankey when he was here,
Right.
well, they have their own, kind of separates it.
Right.
It can't,
Well, if we're working on that already, we might as well just do it with this.
yeah, that way it could clean up and, to me, it would flow better.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a thought to everybody. Because really, what does 319's heading say on it right now? What I have that before me. What does it say it is?
Didn't 319 officially get superseded?
319 is an ordinance of the
Just a
City of
second.
Harrington providing for
Thanks.
zoning and land use and adopting a comprehensive zoning ordinance identifying zones, uses, and the appeals process.
Well,
a
that's
long
clear.
sentence.
Yeah, it's a lot of legal yada yada.
And written by a scribe in 1989.
So we have an ordinance on the books that was shown by Stephen. What do we have to do here?
Well, sorry, go ahead. Here.
I'm done.
I say it does say for land uses, identifying zones, uses, and the appeals process. Uses. So it does have some validity having it in there. However,
Well, and I think 319 opened the door to have it being amended because in that section 6 is where it clearly says you can't have any animals except for household pets, to summarize.
well, if you look at this land uses, that could also fall under the use for a playground or a business. I think that's mainly the intent there, I guess, sort of. You know, the zones and the use and uses. So I still think we ought to go a standalone order, you know, along the nuisance with the chickens.
You're looking at
Because
me.
don't we have a dog? What's our dog stuff right now? Is anybody?
Yeah, you want that?
That's under the nuisance ordinance, right? Or is that under its own?
It's under its own.
Sorry, David.
Not that sorry about that. And that is ordinance 488. 488.
For the dogs?
Yep.
Yeah, ordinance pertaining to the licensing, vaccination, and registration requirements of dogs, prohibiting dogs from running at large within the corporate limits of the city of Harrington, or creating a public nuisance by barking, proper disposal of animal waste, authorizing the impoundment and destruction of dogs, providing for civil penalties, and superseding all other ordinances in conflict herein.
I guess you can say this. There's nothing for us to vote on unless an ordinance of some type is brought before the council, whether that be an ordinance amending the technical shortcomings of the one in the books, or a larger revisit in terms of our new nuisance ordinance. But still, tonight, there's nothing for us to vote on here tonight. Someone will have to choose whatever their best intent of a solution is and bring it to the council for something to vote on.
Don't we have to vote on that intention
No,
to
like,
do this?
you, in theory, Joe could bring a technically amended version next meeting, and you could bring a version that's amended in terms of the nuisance ordinance, and we'd take votes on that next meeting. Because anyone can bring a document to the council for a vote, or at least propose it to us to have someone move the adoption of it.
Well, I look at, like the mayor and the clerk have been asked from residents that come in here and ask, what can you do, what you can't, can we have this? What do we need to clean up the city's responsibility? Do you need 5,000 of these ordinances floating around you have to go through, or how do we kind of
That's part of the
Tidy
reason
it
we
up.
did it the way that we did to
Yeah.
simplify it was they came in and asked 6 chickens, keep them on your property. That was the intent. No roosters. Yes, that was in there as well.
So my point is, do we have just standalone ordinances? Just keep them?
As
Somebody
they
asked about dogs. Look, well, I know we have a doggy ordinance here,
Right.
it's 488. And
See, chicken would be
what
the same
about
thing. You just
animals?
pull it up.
And other animals? Okay, yes. Well, the ordinance,
That was the intent. Just to simplify it. Somebody asked the city clerk, that's all I'd have to say.
I'd
6
still,
chickens, no roosters, keep them on your property.
I'd still like to have a standalone.
Okay.
It would be my vote
Yeah.
to do that, because instead of amending something, and just repeal that section, because in 319, to me, the land uses would be like you couldn't have a business, and well, this might be a stretch, but certain business in a residential, or you can't have a daycare, maybe, I don't know, maybe something like that, crazy, a playground, or, that type of use
Right.
stuff. So I think standalone would, I don't know, your input,
No,
Kinda agree.
that's fine. I like that idea because then if it's asked, you just pull it up and say, this is what we got.
I will say, whatever we do, whichever direction we go, that sentence has to be undone.
Yeah.
is that in 319?
Yes. What's on?
For what?
Whichever direction we go.
Yeah.
Whichever direction this takes, that's the piece of the zoning ordinance that has to be removed. So,
What's the
because
yellow
otherwise it's,
highlighted text, Joe?
go ahead and read it.
Okay.
It's because it relates to what we're talking about.
Subsection, or Section D, keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry, except household pets for the personal enjoyment of the occupants.
That's what's prohibited under 319.
Yes. The following uses are prohibited in the R1 zone. Commercial uses, storage, other than storage of materials, etc., etc. Trailers as a resident, except double-wide mobile homes, and keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry, except household pets for the personal enjoyment of the occupants. I don't have the copy from, does anybody remember what the town of Reardon had? Was it a standalone or was it in their nuisance? It was in their nuisance, wasn't
I think
it?
it was in their nuisance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do see somewhat the benefit of having it in 319 for the uses, but not.
I moved to table until the next meeting.
Second. Just so you know,
Excuse me, sorry.
we had 4 years of this. Before. 5
You're always
years.
having PTSD.
Just a smidge.
So let me get back into the game here now. Did I hear we had a motion?
Yes, I moved to table.
We have a motion on the floor and a second to table this until
Next
November 9th?
Or, yes, November 9th.
Of what
Sorry.
year?
What, yes, thank you.
Next meeting is what I meant. Next meeting.
Okay, any further discussion?
Um,
Call
Just
the
a
motion?
warning that before we tabled this every 2 or 3 months for 5 years, so let's just
give it some thought
Make
what we
it
want to do
happen.
either.
Okay. At least we got something done tonight and that we have established what we voted on
Right.
back then. That is something that was not true when we walked in.
that's all I have. Just my sentiment.
Well taken.
Any further discussion? Thank you. All in favor of tabling this till next meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say the same. Thank you.
How could a little creature like that cause so much havoc?
I asked that question many times over those 5 years.
Okay, the next one is the nuisance ordinance.
Resolution?
No, excuse me, it's not. Resolution 238, 2022, we were going to revisit whether we wanted to add a date to that emergency declaration.
I think we have enough evidence to put in there whether they acted on it right away or not, but I think once it was determined that there was water coming out, that to me would suffice as the start of the emergency. The date.
As soon as we discovered the water bubbling up out of the tracks.
Right, and where it was.
And do you have the email that I sent you about the resolution? I sent that to every one of you.
Yes.
And it had Cynthia Wall's explanation as to why they asked to have us add a date.
Right.
And I believe I sent that to you last Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
Didn't we leave it at the last meeting that Jess, the mayor, was going to talk to Cynthia?
Yes, and I sent you that information. You have a copy of that.
Okay.
That email was forwarded to everybody on Friday, October 14th.
Okay. And that was her explanation.
October 14th?
Yeah, so if people can't find it right away, I'll just read what it says. She's working with, what's PWB? Public Works Board?
Public Works Board.
Okay. I'm working with Public Works Board on amending the emergency loan date offer back to the date of the water line break. I'm cautiously optimistic and had good conversation with Chris McCord this morning. He has been working with Mark and Bridget at PWB on this issue. Chris asked if it would be possible for the city to amend their declaration of emergency to add the actual date of the water break was discovered. I'm assuming this can be done at a council meeting. And I think the hope is if we can move back the date of the emergency to when it was discovered, not just when we passed it, that the grant money can basically be backdated also.
I concur, because as I understand it now, we don't have our current, there's no date.
It's just floating out there right now.
Right.
So there was no date put on that.
They're questioning the actual date the water line break was discovered was
June.
When?
What she asked us to do here, technically, is she did not ask us to amend the declaration of emergency to start the emergency on the date of the water line break. She said amend the declaration of emergency to add the actual date of the water line break was discovered. So I have no problem amending the declaration of emergency to say that the water was discovered on X date. That is factually truthful.
Do you have the date there?
What that says.
June 22nd.
June 22nd?
June 20th.
20th.
June
Okay.
20th.
Well, then
20th.
we're already in compliance.
Yeah.
So
It's already done.
I would like to make a motion that we pass Resolution 238, 2022 as it is presented and written.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded that we pass Resolution 238, 2022 as it is written and dated. Is that correct? It's dated on,
So
it doesn't have a date,
it doesn't have a
does
date. No, just as it's written and presented.
Dated June 20th.
Well, it's here.
I got it, yeah,
Yeah.
But that's what we already voted on.
yeah.
No, we haven't voted on that. We
No,
tabled
we
it last
never,
time.
we never voted on it.
So wait, so this is the original text or this is the new text?
This is the new text.
Oh,
This is
okay.
238, 2022. Go ahead.
Did that get sent to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, before,
Yes,
not
last
before
week.
the last meeting. Okay, sorry, yes. Okay, no, I have that. I was confused as to whether a new copy went out.
Now, is that correct, the 20th, or was there a little bit before that?
We went through that last week, and Jess went through his texts and his phone and
Photographs.
photographs and everything, and we pretty much determined that's when you were called by the homeowner or the landowner there to come and look at the water
I was
standing. in
invited
his-
on the property,
Yep.
correct.
Okay. And without a red line, the only change is just in that section 1.
She's new.
Yeah, that was a new librarian.
Okay.
You didn't meet her, did
No,
you?
I heard her
The only
voice.
change was in section 1.
Burger's last
This is
name, right?
exactly the way it
Burger.
was presented to us.
Maria Berger.
Okay.
Right, but I'm just trying to.
Sounds
make sure
like
I'm
a-
aware of
Who's her
what
husband
exactly-
Yes, I'll have 2 Maria Burgers and
It looks like everything else is the same.
The original declaration that we
They
all
comment
sat
on
here
the
and
things.
passed on
Yeah.
July 22nd or something
No,
like that.
I know.
So,
I'm just saying, I'm trying to make sure that I'm aware of exactly anything
like the
that
sentiment,
changes, and it
by the
looks
way.
like it's only within
this.
section 1.
You would like to second that?
No, I said I like the sentiment.
Yeah.
changes our original
Yeah,
declaration.
makes you say,
of
you know,
emergency. Yes,
never say that
basically.
again.
Yeah.
Do you have any correspondence
this
before
was your
7?
language.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm.
No, no, and I didn't
yeah.
because
I'm
that
good.
was the first I'd heard of it.
Yeah.
We good? I'm good. It's all good.
Yes, so, yeah,
If I
motion and
understand,
seconded.
all we're doing is adding this phrase that includes the original date,
Date of
water-
discovery.
and that date of discovery, that creates no conflict for the city.
No.
We're
Okay.
not actually changing, we're not setting when the emergency went into effect, we're just adding a statement that says when it was discovered,
That's when the water leak was discovered.
and that's factually
Yeah.
true.
I support it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we accept Resolution 238, 2022 as amended,
As written.
as written. It's very important. As written,
Including the date of discovery of June 20th.
correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Pass 5-0. Jerry, are you awake over there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you get, sorry about that. Mayor's comments. I think I've said enough tonight. I can't think of a whole lot to add. Went to the mayor's meeting today at EDC at 8 o'clock this morning in Davenport, and it seems that several of the other cities here and around us are experiencing people moving in and taking over residence in houses that they say they own, and they are not the owners.
Squatters.
Thank you, I'll accept that term.
Squatters or the stealing, that title stealing.
Yeah, and there was a brief discussion, and I'm going to have more with the mayor of Wilbur and Creston. I don't know if that's going to happen this week, but we're going to get together and talk more about that. They have both confronted this issue, and I was interested in the ways that they went about it. And actually, one of these people was arrested and for, I don't remember what charge, but they were charged and booked, and they're still in jail. So there is things that can be done, but you have to go about the proper methods.
Are these people just showing up out of the blue, or is it something?
Yeah, according to the mayor of Reardon, that it's becoming a very common thing in the times in which we live. People are pretty brazen in the conduct of this group of individuals is that's just the way that it's accepted how they do it nowadays. So we have to change our ways and how we deal with it.
I guess my question, to clarify it, how would we know that they're that, does it look legit to the everyday citizens around here?
I would say no.
Okay.
There's at least one residence we have in this town that is in question. And we're working that issue.
Okay. Just for general.
Are those cases being investigated?
Yes, and are the ones in our town?
Yes.
I don't know that I would use that term yet. There's been no police activity. Well, the police were there when we turned the water off at one of these residences, but they were in the vicinity keeping an eye on things, and there was no problem whatsoever, so there's still an active situation here that we're working on to come up with better answers. As you heard tonight, I don't know if Stephen said that we could be moving dirt within 2 weeks. Did he make that statement? He made that statement. Stephen Marsh, yes. He made that statement this morning at our meeting we had with our water meeting. So there's a good chance that we could, and the actual contractor has 20 days once they start to finish it. It's got to be there and done, or they get fined a pretty significant fine per day.
20 days. Right?
20 business days.
So we might have something to be very thankful for this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, or at least before Christmas.
Wonderful.
So it sounds to me like we're moving ahead. I heard from the contractor who's going to put the tunnel under the railroad tracks at the south end of town. Today he had a couple questions as to where and a few other things that we're going to work through. So that could happen before winter's here.
So the whole project going to be underground?
Yes. At the south end, that's for fiber optic, and our hope is that the hole is big enough to put another water line through it.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't heard of that, but I think I need
So we don't have to dig a line under the railroad?
Correct. We don't.
That's great news.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very good. So, any comments from the floor?
I think we done wore them out.
Yeah.
Did you? Well,
I'll
with
make
that,
it quick.
okay.
I spent 7 hours in City Hall today. One of those hours I spent meeting with the advisory team members. We talked about markers for the corners, the boundaries of the blocks of lots at the cemetery. They are going to work on a design and materials that it might take. They were real optimistic that we could come up with something locally made here in town that would do the job. So they're looking at design work right now. The other 6 hours I spent getting started on entering cemetery location data into a computer-based file structure. It's kind of slow because I wind up reading stuff sometimes that is interesting or that I need to read to get the dates I want to fill the database. So it's a little bit time consuming, but it's a very interesting task and I enjoyed the day very much.
As usual, we thank you, Stan, for your
Thank you, Stan.
for your service to the city.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Until you're better funded, thank you. And at this point, the last thing on our agenda is for City Councilman number 5 to
Move to adjourn.
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ooh.
You won't hear that.
I want to hear that chicken tape again.
Can we here's my promise.